And yes, sorry for the confusion. I was not going to contribute to this debate, but I thought after those last two contributions from the crossbench, I did want to add some thoughts. And I want to say up front, I want to commend the contribution made by Senator Miura. I thought it was a very considered and well thought through speech. He has obviously thought very deeply about these issues, and while I am disappointed he is not supporting the government on what I think are very well-needed reforms, I do commend his contribution and also his open-mindedness to continue to discuss what might be the best way forward here, because clearly in the second contribution from Senator Lazarus, and he is right, there is serious issues with our coastal shipping sector. He is right that it's been in decline for decades, but that has of course occurred with a variety of different regulatory structures, including a very strong coastal shipping regime which has so-called protected our industry. It was established to try and protect that industry, there's no doubt about that, but on that objective it has seriously failed on the numbers that Senator Lazarus presented himself. So we may all disagree with what needs to be done and what needs to change, because we all want to support our shipping industry, but clearly the current system is failing, and clearly something needs to change if we're serious about rebuilding a strong shipping sector in this country. I also take issue with Senator Lazarus, or some of Senator Lazarus's comments. He mentioned that he had consulted with a variety of Queensland stakeholder groups as a Queensland senator. He then went on to mention that he hadn't spoken to anybody apparently who supported reforms to these regulations. Well, he mustn't have consulted very widely, because he mustn't have spoken to the Queensland sugar industry, second biggest agricultural export in the state. He mustn't have spoken to the cement industry, and he mustn't have spoken to the beef industry, the biggest agricultural sector in the state, because all of those industries do rely to some extent on our coastal shipping network, in sugar in more than most, and it is failing them. It is failing them because right now it is cheaper to import sugar from Brazil to Melbourne, where a lot of soft drink manufacturers are, than it is to send sugar from North Queensland to Melbourne. Now that's a problem. It is a problem. It's a problem if we want to maintain a strong cane growing industry in our country, and I certainly do as a Queensland senator want to do that. And again, I urge Senator Lazarus to take a leaf out of Senator Miura's book and come to this debate in a constructive fashion. And if there are other ideas with how we can reform this legislation to get what we all want, then please bring them forward. Because what the government is actually only proposing is to return the system to something that was very close to what was in place before 2009, when the Labor Party changed the regulations. Before then, there were permit systems available. There was still a process that had to go through, which was what is envisaged under this bill. It was an open slather to foreign flag vessels, but there was a workable coastal shipping sector. Notwithstanding that the pressures were still on our coastal shipping sector, it was a system which was able to support the needs of our agricultural sector, as well as provide some business for our domestically flagged vessels. So I take with a grain of salt some of the more outrageous claims from Senator Lazarus that somehow this bill will, I don't know, seemingly open the gates to massive amounts of asbestos and security risks along our coastline, when these laws were in place for more than a decade previously, and there was no evidence of any of that occurring. So I also want to finish by commending the efforts of the Deputy Prime Minister, Warren Truss, who has worked long and hard to find a solution to this. It's something that's incredibly important, not just for our shipping sector, but for our entire nation to find a way forward here. I am not hopeful that this particular solution today will receive the support of the parliament. However, I know he is committed to moving forward, to trying to find an outcome, trying to find a solution, and I urge all senators, but particularly those senators on the crossbench, to engage in a good faith with the Deputy Prime Minister and try and find a solution for our shipping sector, for our agricultural users of shipping and for our entire nation.